Good morning, crafty friends. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today is Saturday, July 19th, 2025. And pulling up my video here. If you pop in, say good morning. I'm a little crooked, that's okay. I'm just gonna move the things on my desk. How's that? So if you're joining for the first time, say hi. I'd love to know where you're watching from. If you watch the replay on Facebook or on YouTube, please say hello. And I'm gonna scoot up just a little bit so you can see more of my work area here. Okay. Oops. So I have a couple of quick updates. I'm still crooked, sorry. And I'm moving my camera. That's okay. I have a quick couple updates that I want to share really quickly before I jump in with my card today. So here in the US, we have back to school tax holidays. And so certain states participate in a weekend or a few days or sometimes even a week where you can shop for school supplies and they are tax-free. So I wanted to pass this information on. If you want this printout or need to know about your state, I can send this to you or give you the info. So I'm in Ohio, and Ohio starts July 30th through August 8th. And there's a dollar cap per item. So Ohio used to be like $20. And so a lot of things from Stampin' Up weren't included. But crafting supplies are considered school supplies. And so Ohio now has a very large dollar amount. So the entire 2025-26 annual catalog is included in that tax holiday. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, MA is Massachusetts, Missouri, New Mexico, I'm guessing Puerto Rico, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, West Virginia, all are on the list for this tax holiday. So if you're in any of those states, you can see from this grid what's included. And like I said, Ohio, I mean, we used to be able to get like cardstock and some maybe adhesive, different things. Now it's mostly markers. So if you like the Stampin' Write markers, blends are on that list. And mostly adhesives. Actually, it's all adhesives. So no cardstock or anything like that. It's markers and adhesives. So if you want to, and I'm not sure when it says entire catalog. So, honestly, I've never had that checked before, so I don't know. I normally use that time to buy adhesives and save myself a little bit of money on the tax. In Ohio, the shipping is also taxed, yes, so you would save a little bit of money. So I just want to pass that along if you're wanting to shop during that time period. If you need the dates, just message me. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Jenny. Thank you for joining me. So today, my cards are using an online exclusive. So Stampin' Up now has catalogs. So we have an annual catalog and we have 2 mini catalogs that come out. And we also have online exclusives So those release every other month. So sometimes they coincide with a catalog release and sometimes they're just on their own. So this online release was for July of 2025. Actually, I take that back. I have the wrong sheet. This collection's not from this release. Sorry about that. It's from the May. If you ever want the PDF, you can message me. This is just how we show the collection. Let me go back to May. I'm sorry. This product that I'm using today is from the May release, which was the same time that our annual catalog released. So we have suites that release and then we have bundles. So I want to show you the bundle I'm using today. You can always search it in my online store. Oh, here it is. You can always search these in my online store. You can search by the name, or you can select the menu and shop products and scroll down to the category online exclusives. So I'm going to be featuring the Scenic Adventure bundle. The stamp set works independently from the die. So I've mostly used the dies, but I want to try to maybe fit in some of the greetings today. I did use a texture stamp, the water texture stamp, but you could definitely use them together or separate. It's completely up to you. So if you have questions about any of the products, you can message me or comment and I will let you know. Okay, I'm just going to move a few things and I'm going to tell you about my cards and we'll have a decision to make. Good morning, Joan. So, how is everybody? Thanks for joining me this morning. So, let me tell you about my cards. Oh, good morning, Christy. So, this one I posted yesterday, and I forgot to finish the inside. Go ahead and scold me for that. But I wanted to tell you about these dies. So, I've made a shape and then I've layered on top. And it's a little more work, but I love the look. So I found this die. I've been cleaning my room and trying to organize a little bit better. And this was a paper pumpkin die that went with our dies now go for the quarter. So this coordinated with April, May, June of 2024. And I think the thanks went with the June. There was a butterfly for April, and there was a shape that went with the May kit, which was one of my favorite kits. I always love the masculine kits, but I found this die and I thought, why have I not used this? So I was using up my scraps. I have tons of paper scraps, and I created this. So we're going to maybe use that today, whatever you guys get to decide, but I want to show you about this layering. So on this, I have my products here. Let me grab them. I used these nested essential dies, and sometimes I find a certain shape hard to use. So I used the largest one for all of my layers. And then after I cut this shape and all the colors I wanted, I used these Scenic Adventure dies to cut my mountains, the trees. Here's the little grass piece. And then I tore some two-toned paper for the water. There is no just, I really kind of wanted a wavy die or a landscape die, and I do have some, but they're retired. They're in some of my tree sets and different things. We've had different dies that can do like a landscape, and but they're retired. So whatever you have, use. If you want the die look, you can die cut it. I just did a freehand. So on this card, I used this shape, and then on this one, I decided to do some circles. And so I used these stylish shapes. Can you guys see? And then for my last card, I used the everyday arches. And I used the second largest one on this. I used the largest circle here. And so I used the same color scheme on all of these. And then this one I had to add in a little bit, and I used some different greetings. So I have kits for each layer. Okay. So this is what I mean. I cut this shape, and then all of these started out as this shape. And then I die cut the landscape. This one we can tear or cut with scissors and layer. So you're just going to layer all of those up. So I have each thing cut and ready to go. We just need to decide which shape, because we can either put it on dark cardstock, or we can do this technique where I used my blending brush and I added some pool party. So let me tell you about my color combo here while you guys are voting. So we're going to do number 1 is the arch, number 2 is the circle, and number 3 is the hexagon. It's an elongated hexagon. And just pop in the chat which number, and we're just looking at the shape right now, and then we're going to build that, and we'll decide later if we want what kind of greeting or how we want to stamp it and what base we want. So as we start this class, this is my coffee and card series where we work through the creative process. So if you are watching the replay, you can always fast forward the parts where we're making a decision and we're voting. Okay, so the color combo is Secret C, and you'll notice I have 2 different colors right here. This is the two-toned. So I don't have any two-tone next to me. When we have the two-toned, actually I do. Let me take that back. It's right here. I'll just grab these out. So when we have the two-toned, the front is the dark color, the true color, and the back is a lighter color. So these are printed, okay, so that we can get a light and a dark. And it has a white core. That's why when we tear, it shows that white piece. So I've used two-tone for all of these layers. It is a little bit thinner than our dyed cardstock. So I've used Secret C, Pool Party, and this one just has Mossy Meadow, but I also used Old Olive. So that is my outdoorsy color combo. You're going to see these coming up on my page with examples on how I used those. So this first one is Secret C, Mossy Meadow, Pool Party, and Old Olive. Now, I did add in some reds and yellows and browns because I added a fire to here. And you guys will, I have some other options that you guys will get to vote on, okay? So, let me see which shape you want to use. Oh, you all want to use this elongated hexagon. Okay, so I'm going to pull these away, and we are going to get busy building on this. So I've already done all the die cutting ahead. So I'm not going to be doing any die cutting on the live. And we will use these for reference a little bit later. But here we go. Okay, so I have all my pieces tucked in my envelope here. And I'm just going to build this layer. So what I did was I die cut this out of basic white, and this is regular cardstock. Okay, this is just, it's a little bit thicker. You could use the thick basic white as well. And then I die cut each one of these. This is the light Secret C and the dark Secret C. And I die cut this shape, And then I used, these are edge dies in here. Pull these out so there's no glare. So then I used this die and I cut the mountain, okay? So that it fits perfectly together. I want my shapes to layer perfectly. I used this one twice on some of the cards. And then there's also this little one here. So I used this, and then I used my scissors to cut this down, okay, so that it would layer behind it. So any questions about that? Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny. Hopefully you'll be able to come back. So this is going to layer like this, and it's going to look a little different. And see, I have a little piece here I'm going to trim off. I don't want that showing. So you can make adjustments with your scissors. So they're going to layer like this. And you could have cut it so that, you know, it has more of a mountain. This could be down lower. It's up to you. But that's why I cut the base shape first. And then the edge. So that I know how high it can go, because it started out as this shape. So, and then we have some trees. Now this piece, I want to know, do you want to see me rip it, or would you like it just cut? So here, let me pull this up so you can see. So I just tore it, and I kind of guessed how high I wanted that up. So this is definitely taller than I need. I'm going to tear it clear down here. You can use scraps when you're die cutting this and you have a lower piece where you know it doesn't, you don't need to worry about the height. So I did use some scraps on these pieces. Good morning, Dad. Thanks for joining us. So, would you like to see me tear it? Or do you want to just see me cut a border? I was trying to see if I had. No, I tore all of them. Okay, I see some tear it votes. So I want to show you this one really quick. I stamped the water on this, so we can do that as well. So you can keep it like this where you didn't stamp. This one doesn't have as much space depending on how tall your other elements are. And this I had more space to fill up. So you can definitely use the stamp set that comes in the bundle, and I used this stamp right here. Now there's a cloud. You could stamp this back part. It's completely up to you. There are some trees, but the dies do not go with these trees. So I do have some die cut trees, but they are, all the dies on this are standalone dies. Okay, so we're going to tear it. To get the white to show, you have to rip it toward you. And I did see during the virtual album retreat, I saw lots of tips on tearing, and some people like to wet it. Now, I have not done that, but you can certainly try it. So I've used the light side of Pool Party on this one. So if you like it to be a little darker, truer to the Pool Party color, you could, when you die cut, you could use this side. Now, this is getting covered up, most of it. So if you did flip it over, because this has a stitched edge, I don't think it would be too noticeable because you're going to be putting this piece on top. And so that's probably not going to be very noticeable. So if you wanted the darker side, you could flip it over. Okay, so I'm just going to start tearing. And again, I'm tearing toward me so that that white edge is visible. And I'm just going along. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be different lengths, and you can save this piece. You could put it on the inside if you wanted. And this is going to layer here, and I might want to tear it some more. So I like to just, this is what I call dry fitting. Okay, so I'm just layering my pieces, and I wish I would have torn this up a little bit. So I may tear it a little bit more. Let's see where it hits on this. So it depends on how much of that water you want visible. Okay, so if you want to tear it a little more or you want to stamp it, now is the time. And I'm just kind of holding it together to kind of see how it's going to look when I glue it. So what do you guys think? Do you like that? I might tear a little off on this end. And so to do that, I'm just going to tear it again. It does not have to be even. It's a landscape. Nature isn't perfect. So my real concern is how high it comes up on the trees. And then this piece. I think I like that. And it's okay that it's wider on this side, right? How we view things is going to be different. Okay, so we have that. Now I do have some extra bits. They're in some of my other envelopes here. So I used this die. This is a flower. And again, it's an edge die. So that means it just cuts one edge. So this bottom isn't cut. And then you can color this with blends. You can trim it, but you can, so if you want some more landscape in there, if you want flowers, you could tuck these after you color them, okay? Maybe you don't want, maybe you used green here because you want it to be a pasture and not a stream. So I did cut those so you could see them. I have some extra trees. So we have those trees. And then there's a little tree like this that's in the kit. So you can add those things on. And somewhere I have a little fire. And I cut that in white so I could add the color. So we can add that to this if you would like. I'm going to say probably not the flowers. And because these things are extra, they don't have to be cut with this die cut first. So these are just add-on. So if you wanted to add this on, I think that's a little too big. And this is cut in Old Olive. This is Mossy Meadow. So this is the light side. This is Old Olive. So you could add on a tree if you wanted to add on a little bit more. I did not use dimensionals on this at all, okay? So we'll decide on those in a minute. Oops. If we want to add any of those or keep the original design. And right now I'm going to adhere these together. So I like to take this piece first, and I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive. Okay, that might be too high. And then I'm going to lay these together, and I put glue where I didn't need it, but that's okay. This side, this bottom piece, and this side need to match, okay? Because we don't want it to get all wonky and show off the white. So I want to make sure that all of that is lined up for my little mountain range here. Now I'm going to take this and adhere it to the base. Again, I want to line up these sides. And I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue because it allows me to move around my piece. And then when it dries, it is permanent. And oh, that's off just a tad. I think it'll be okay. You don't really want it to be off where you're going to snip it because it has this stitched edge. So this one underneath will be okay. Because this layer is what is going to show. So, and it might not. If the trees cover it, don't worry about snipping it. But you want to try to keep it as perfect as possible so this edge remains or keeps in, what do I want to say? Got a little tongue-tied there. It keeps the original shape. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to adhere my trees, and I use the light mossy meadow side. So if you want, yeah, had to look at my stitching. If you want the darker side, that's the beauty of the two-toned. So flip it over and change it up how you like. I do like that really dark. I love this mossy meadow in this paper. So again, I'm trying to line that up, and I'm just running my finger along to make sure that I have all of those lined up. Now comes the water. Do you guys want to stamp the water? So like on this one, I used Pool Party and I stamped off, and then I stamped that water texture onto my piece. So what do you think? Stamp it or leave it alone? So just so you know, there's not going to be a lot that shows, but a little bit will. So if you want to add some texture to that, we can stamp on it. So yes, stamp it. No, don't. Okay, I see a lot of you saying leave it. So we will. And I just go layer by layer and add it on. You don't need a ton of glue. See, I'm not putting that much on. And you'll notice the bottom edge is getting kind of thick because that's where all the layers are happening. So I do not use any dimensionals with this type of layer that I'm creating, because this end is getting thick because I'm constantly layering on it. So I don't add dimensionals. It's up to you. If you don't mind, if you're not mailing it, then you could. But if you're going to mail something, I try to be kind of conscious, there we go, conscious about how thick it is, because it will cost extra postage here in the US. So now I'm adding my little ground piece. And this die didn't go all the way. I just used my scissors to trim it. Okay. All right, there's our layer. I think the most time-consuming part was the die cutting. So now we have some decisions to make. Do we want to add a little tree on this side? You could add the big trees. I guess it depends on how the overall feel of the card. And you could trim these. You could trim these little trunks down. So you could add that. And we also have to decide on our card base. Okay. So the original cards, I have this one is Secret Sea, and then I have basic white. So here's the basic white, and it is very much white on white because our die cut's white, but you could add some texture behind there. So we have sold decorative masks in the past with designs. This, I just used a blending brush and some Pool Party to give my base a little color so that that die cut layer that we created stands off the page a little bit. You could also use Secret Sea to brush on here and make that stick out. So do you want, let's decide on our base, and then we'll pick if we want some extra trees or a little fire along our river. Do we want white or do we want Secret Sea? So let's do A is Secret Sea, B is white. So those are the colors I chose. You could have chose green or Pool Party. Any of those colors would work. So A, Secret Sea, or B, white. And then we'll decide if we want an extra tree and what greeting we want. So I know I didn't bring Pool Party or Mossy Meadow or Old Olive over, but you know I always like to try all of them. So I do encourage you as you're crafting, if you have all the cardstocks, lay it on your cardstock like this and look at it and see what color you feel that brings out your piece the most, or what you want your eye to be drawn to. I feel like using the Secret Sea helps my greens and my Pool Party pop a little more than if I would to use the green as the background. And I often use Pool Party too. So, okay, it looks like Secret Sea has won out. So let me move this out of the way. Okay, so here, let me fold this. And I do have, under all this, I do have a basic white piece that I can use on the inside. So this, I made a landscape card. This does not fit on a portrait card this way. So that's why it's a landscape card. Okay, it's a very big die cut. So I just have it about the middle. Now, do we want to add anything extra? So let me just bring those things in and show you. This would get colored with blends, but you could add a little fire along your river. And we do have a retired set that has several that have tents and things. So if you want to make a camping theme, they're die cut, so they would kind of have that feel to it. Okay, you get the idea. It's stuck to my finger. So it's like you're along the river fishing or camping and you have a little fire. There's also some chairs and different things that you could definitely mix and match with your sets. So that's an option. You can always leave it as is. I kind of like this shape to not have all the extra things. It just feels, I don't know, it just feels different. We could add, like I said, a little tree in here. And I would probably put a dimensional on this to hold it so that it's up above the mountain, so that it's not stuck down flat. So we have our little tree, and then we have our double trees. So this would probably have to come down if you want to add a really big piece. I feel like that's too big. Okay, so I'm going to remove that one because I just feel like it's too big. Now, if you wanted to do portrait, just so you know, you could flip this shape and do your die cutting this way and stack your mountains. And then it would just be a little bit, and you would line up all, so you would be cutting this direction and you would line up this part and this as the bottom. So that's an option if you want a portrait card. It would just be like you're looking through a window at that landscape. So that would be interesting too. I cut it to be landscape, so. But there's an extra idea for you. So I have an as is, vote, and I have add the small tree. Anyone else want to throw their hat in? So here's what the fire looks like once we color it. I tried to incorporate as many of the dies as I could, just so you could see some options. I love the little trees. I haven't used the flowers yet. The other dies are texture dies. So let me show you just really quick what that is. So if you wanted to create a night scene, you could run this on your background. You could make this white piece dark, and then this is a negative. So it doesn't cut out this edge, it cuts out the moon, and then it leaves a texture like there's stars. And then there's this texture, which is like could be water. You could make this like a bark texture. So this is just some lines, some random irregular lines. They could be water, but you could also, if you were making maybe a tall tree with, you know, where you just see the base of the tree, you could use that for that kind of texture too. Okay, I'm even here. So nobody has voted for the fire, so I'm going to stick that over here. Take all of my extras and put them back with my other envelope. So we need some more votes, unless I'm not seeing them. We're tied for leave as is and add a tree. So while we're still kind of mulling over that decision, let's think about what greeting we want. So I do have a bunch of the thanks already die cut. So I've been just going to town, creating things that I can just use and throw on my cards. And I've sorted, this is all together, but all my die cuts that I've been doing with my scrap papers, I've been sorting in little bags by color. So all the reds are together, all the blues, all the greens, all the teals. And then when I need a die cut, I can just grab out from there and not always have to get out paper and cut new when I have all the scrap paper that needs used. So I've done a lot of these. So on this one, I adhered 2 of the white die cut thanks together, and then I used my Stampin' Blends on it to create an ombre look. You could also just use the two-toned. I've cut some from regular cardstock and two-toned cardstock, and I do have some teals in here. I do have some of this two-toned paper in here. I also have green, and I also have this Secret Sea color along with the white. That's what I have done so far. Okay, good morning, Maggie. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so it looks like the no tree has won. So don't worry, guys. I'm going to be doing more of these, and I will try to go back and see what you chose and see how I can incorporate those suggestions and votes, okay? So now we need to decide, do we want this thanks, or do we want a smaller greeting like this, just a note? And I have this die. This is from the Perfectly Pairs bundle. And then I just cut off the end. Okay, so we have that. And then this little tag, this one I did hello. This hello is from Beautiful Motifs. And I used this die from the Layers of Beauty coordinating dies. So it had this little tag in there, and I used a dot. I'm going to show you how I got that dot. So we need to decide what greeting we want to go onto this card. So I haven't adhered anything down yet, just in case we want to play with where this is on our card. So we can add a die cut like this and leave this more into the middle. And I think they all fit. Felt like there were two there. Sometimes I have extras. You could also put this down here. I kind of like when it's layered. Again, if you do this, this little dot may cause some extra postage, or what they call non-machinable, so that it's not torn. It may not. Sometimes I chance it. So we have, let's get out a thanks here. I know what color you want, Dad. It's always John Deere green. Hey, I think I've almost got John Deere green on here. So we have this thanks. And I like to double up my words. I usually do at least 2. So I think that might be the darker one. I don't know if I have any light. And I also, the cardstock, so here's Pool Party cardstock. It looks a little different than the two-toned, because two-toned is, oh, actually, those are both cardstock. The two-toned is printed. Here's one, I think. Yeah, so it looks a little different. I don't know if you can tell the difference on that one, but so, do you guys want to see my technique for the gradient on the thanks? It's a masculine birthday card for you. Definitely. I definitely think this can be a happy birthday. And you know what? Let me think. I'm trying to think if what I have that would fit, like a happy birthday that would fit on here. Might be retired. Sometimes I have favorite greetings and I don't know where they are. So in this set, I stamped earlier, when I was making my cards, I stamped the Just Breathe. I left off the Take It Slow, and I stamped around it, and I decided I wasn't really loving my fussy cutting there. But this also has let the, and you can fill in journey or adventure, or you could just stamp it adventure. Your amazing is giant. So I think it would be overwhelming for this card, and then can't wait to see you again. So cheers to another journey, cheers to another adventure. So this is more of an adventure set. I also grabbed out, I stamped a few things ahead. So here are celebrate. You could put celebrate on the front instead of happy birthday. Okay. I love that. But I stamped a bunch of these. Now this goes with the Weekend Adventures scrapbooking, but these are large greetings. I can undo this. So, except for these, and I messed that one up, so I re-stamped it. So, relax, enjoy. You could just put a little tiny thing. Love this place. Now, those won't fit on these, but I have other things. Taking the scenic route. I love that saying. And things to do and places to see. So, I think those could be cute on the front of this card. And then you could say, whatever you want on the inside. And then I was, these are the month-by-month stamps from the virtual album retreat. And it does have a cute little celebrate. I love these arrows. There's another one. Am I missing something? Yeah, it's not pictured on the, oh, there it is. So there's a little arrow with some dots and a straight arrow. I love those, but there is the word celebrate in here. So if you have this set, if you just did the virtual album retreat, there's a little celebrate in there. And it's a scripty one where this is more of a type font. Okay. So this is just some things that I kind of threw off to the side. Yes, you can always put happy birthday on the inside. So the other option is to have nothing, no greetings on the front of this card. Okay, so you can do die cuts, and we've had die cut words loads of different times. This just happens to be a paper pumpkin, and I liked that it was kind of a chunkier word, but I have other things, and I usually put the adhesive sheets on the back if they're really scripty or thinner, and then I die cut so that I can just peel off the backing and the adhesives on there. But because this is chunky, it's very easy to use the liquid glue on. So what do you guys think? Are you guys down for a birthday card? Anybody have any other thoughts? And if you don't want a greeting on the front, then we can just stamp the inside. Oh, Christy votes for enjoy. So let me bring that one back in. So I love that these are little tiny. Now, yes, these are meant for scrapbooking, but I think it can go on here. Now, I was just stamping these because I kind of wanted to see how does it look. And you could even cut these apart. Okay, so you could cut these apart and adhere them like taking the scenic route so that it's a line. Okay, love this place. And I did. When we were driving out west, I loved all the places with mountains. So I have, so let's vote. Let me see. And I stamped in Misty Moonlight, but this one's in Misty Moonlight. My goodness, I'm so sorry. Secret Sea. Or I did Pool Party, okay? This was a technique with the blends, and this was just regular ink. So, let me stamp Celebrate. Celebrate could be for lots of things. Doesn't have to just be for birthday. So if you kind of want a versatile card that's just kind of sitting in your stash ready to go, Celebrate is a great one to add. And I don't know if that may fit on there. I know it won't fit on that. I am just going to stamp along the bottom so that, oops, so you can see some of the different things. So this is why I like to collect greetings. I like the different fonts. And Paper Pumpkin, the one we just had, the May, probably has a really great, some really great sayings in there. I think there was a happy birthday in that one. It may have been stacked. So it depends on how you want your greeting to go on here, if you want your greeting on the front. Now this is the Celebrate. I haven't stamped with any of these yet. So I watched the whole retreat. And I haven't done my pages yet because I just wanted to kind of take in what we needed to do. And it was a very long, it was 8 hours each day. So there were 4 2-hour videos for 3 days in a row for 12 2-page spreads. And it was amazing. So there are some of those virtual album month by month virtual album retreat kits still left if you want to grab one. And then you get invited to the Facebook group, and the videos will eventually be uploaded to private videos on YouTube that you can continue to watch. So I'm just rubbing my stamp. When we have these photopolymers, sometimes there's still some stuff on it from the production, so you can use Versamark and stamp off. You can, some people like to use an eraser. I don't like using erasers on my stamps. That's just a preference. So I'm just rubbing it with my finger. Oh, Joan, you know, I read about that earthquakes from Mount Rainier. Is that pretty normal? Because the story was kind of saying that was kind of normal to have those very small tremors. It sounded alarming to me, but I don't live near that close where we would feel that often. Good morning, Vicki. Thanks for joining us. So this is the Celebrate from the month by month. And this came with 4 stamp sets. Very great value for the stamps. The alphabet itself has upper and lower case, and it has numbers, so it's awesome. Okay, I'm just going to, there we go. Ooh, that's nice. I like that one. It's a little bit taller than this one, but I love that little scripty font. You could even reuse some of these arrows that were in the kit and some of the textures on these cards. This also has a love this. It has all the greetings, but I really love the arrows and the little bird and all the little bursts and firework things. I really am liking the stamps that came with that kit. And once it sells out, it's gone. It's not something that gets replenished. I'm hoping that they choose to do these virtual album retreats more often. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's what I read too, Joan. Nothing to worry about, that it's normal, but I think I would be on edge. Okay, so we're going to vote for the Celebrate or Enjoy. So the Enjoy is just a little tiny thing, and we could stick this anywhere. You could almost just stamp it up here in the sky and not have a layer. Okay, I would use a stamp positioning tool. I've already adhered all that together, so I don't want to mess it up. You could also stamp it down here. Okay, it would stamp on top of that green. Ooh, that's an idea. We could just stamp Celebrate right on top of our green layer, because if you use the Secret C, it's going to show right here. so you don't have to have a little cutout. What do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts. Let's think about how we want to finish up this card, and then we're going to do the inside. And we could stamp some of those trees, and I'm going to show you how in case you want to embellish. Now these are the neutral matte dots. So it comes in basic white, black, very vanilla. Pull them out so you can see. So it has basic white, basic black, very vanilla, and pecan pie. And I've only used one out of it so far. I love these because they're flatter, so easy on the mailing. But I used, to make my one on this circle card, so this right here, I took my light Secret Sea blend and I used the bullet tip end and I just colored it. I let it dry and then I stuck it on. So you can alter your embellishments with Stampin' Blends. So we could even stick on white. We could make them green or pool party. Okay, so if you don't have the right color, but you have some of these different embellishments, you can use your blends on them. So, okay, so I see a vote for celebrate. And I had a vote for enjoy. Anybody else want to throw in? I'm going to put my thanks away. And I'm kind of thinking to stamp onto the layer instead of having any extra bits. It kind of helps not take away from the shape that you've created. So we created this whole layer by layering those, and it helps not take away from this, so that it's just center stage. Okay. All right, guys, let's start chattering and tell me what you think. So I have two different celebrates. Okay. This is like a type font, and it's all uppercase. And then this, I love this little scripty celebrate. And it's a little thicker line. And then we have the word enjoy. So like I said, we could even put enjoy up here. And enjoy could be for anything. It could be for a birthday card. It could be for maybe you're sending a card. Someone's going on a trip and you want to send them, you know, encouraging words or well wishes. So I have, okay, celebrate on the layer. So I think I am going to stamp on the layer. I like that. You can kind of see from these other samples how it would look. But I think this shape, it's hard for me to pair other die cuts. Now, if I had created it like this and had die cut so that it layers this way, maybe I would like something that hangs off like that, because it just looks like there's more room. So it depends on how you do your layer and what shapes you pick. So let's stamp on it, and then you can kind of see all the different things. Put those over with my other die cuts. Okay, now I just need to choose which celebrate. Let's vote on that. So remember, if I didn't pick your choice, please don't feel discouraged. We all kind of have our own style and different way we like to do things, and there's no wrong way. So even though we're voting on things, it doesn't mean it's wrong if we don't do it that way. Okay, I don't want anyone to feel discouraged to create cards how you love them. Okay, so we are going to stamp in Secret Sea. Pool Party would probably not show up on that old olive. It put enjoy and celebrate. Let me see if I haven't an and. So here's the alphabet from the retreat. I don't have an and symbol in that. And the other, I'm trying to think, I don't have very many alphabet stamps. I think I have a retired one. Let me see if I have an and in there. Oh, okay. Ooh, so this is a very old set, but there is an and in there. So this was a set that we had for the copyright. This was an angel set, and I love all these letters, so I've kept it. It was a very big set, and it does have an and symbol. You guys want to do that? Enjoy and celebrate. Where is it? There it is. I think the font would go. So we could say, let me get the stamps out so we can see them. Okay, that's the wrong stamp set. No wonder I can't find it. So you could definitely do a longer saying like this, can't wait to see you again. And you could put it along the bottom. So I don't want to discourage anyone from using these that went with the Scenic Adventure. But, you know, I like to mix and match. This is relax. Here's enjoy. There's also cheers in this set, but I didn't really feel like cheers went with it. So you could say enjoy. I don't know if I have room for and. Enjoy. This is teeny tiny. And we'd put the and here. And I kind of think this celebrate might go better with that. What do you think? Or do you want the scripty? What do you guys think about what we're building here? Joan's up for anything. I love it. So I pulled out the scripty celebrate. So that's how we would stamp it. And I would use my stamp positioner for sure. Enjoy and celebrate. So we kind of got all the things. So I'm going to move these out of the way really quick. And we're going to bring in a thing. I gotta remember where I stuck my mat here. Okay, so if your stamp positioner has a mat, foam mat for your photopolymers, then make sure you stick that in there. And I'm not going to worry a whole lot about how straight it is. I'm going to take that one out because this is higher, so I don't want to have to press this down and squish these. So I'm going to set these up where I want them. And hopefully, a little bit, I can get them pretty straight. And I'm gonna try to do them at the same time, but I might not be able to. Depends on how close I can get it. Doesn't want to come off my fingernail. Okay, we're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna take this and hold it down. So we'll see how well I line them up. So I'm just going to ink it up with the Secret C. And the beauty about doing this is if something doesn't touch just right, I can ink it again or close it again like that. And didn't connect there. There we go. Enjoy, and they're not super close, but that's okay. Now I'm going to move these a little bit. I'm going to put these on a block so I can clean them. And now I'm going to put my Celebrate on. I won't need to press as much on this one. It's higher. And I'm just pressing a little. The photopolymer, if you squish it down really hard, it's going to spread. So I try to be kind of careful and just put even pressure on there. I probably could have went a little lower, but that's okay. So there we have our layer. What do you guys think? Now, if I'd stamped that separate, I could have moved it a little closer. I think it's okay. Now, let me grab a piece for the inside. So I'm just grabbing out. I like to keep containers with my basic white already cut. I'm just grabbing out a basic white piece. It is 5 inches by 3 3/4, and that's what I'm going to put on the inside. And I remember your card's landscape, so when we adhere this, it's going to go like that. So we want to make sure we stamp in the right orientation. And I'm thinking to stamp a couple trees. So we can do Mossy Meadow and Old Olive, or you can do Old Olive and then stamp off for the other one. So I'm thinking a couple of these trees to bring in that theme on the inside of our card. So there's that tree, and there's this one. Oops. There's also a flower stamp, so if you use the flower die, you could do a line of flowers along here. You could stamp the river stamp. So whatever you like to use for the inside of your cards. This could be, I guess this could be a mountain, but I think it's more of a cloud. So I mean, you could pull in a mountain stamp. I think, I'm trying to think what mountain, besides Mountain Air, because I'm trying to think what else we would have. So I'm going to do trees. But you could, remember that torn piece we had? It doesn't fit exactly. So you could trim this to fit. Now, if we were doing a portrait, obviously it would fit, but you could do a torn piece. Okay, so let me grab, I'm going to grab some inks here. And I'm also going to grab my Old Olive blend. So I want to add maybe a little bling to this. So we're going to stamp. And I will admit, my Mossy Meadow kind of stamps lighter than it is. So let's do... So there's lots of things you could do on the inside of this card. So I encourage you to kind of get creative and do what you feel fits your style. So I'm going to ink this up, and I'm leaving it off the stamp pad a little bit because I don't want that huge tree trunk. I want it to be a little bit shorter. And you'll see this stamps, it's not as dark. I don't know why I have, it could be my room, but sometimes I have to re-ink my ink pad. That's okay. We're gonna go with this. Sometimes I have a spot that I use and it works better. Oh, that looks okay. So it just kind of depends. And then I'm going to use this smaller tree with the Old Olive. Almost looks the same, doesn't it? It's because this pad's really juicy. Okay. And I'm just gonna, I brought my blend in. I'm just gonna add a little bit of blending down there. That was the dark Old Olive. Oops, sorry. And I'm gonna push some of it through just to kind of lighten the edge a little bit, just to ground my trees there for the inside. Now, happy birthday. I'm trying to think of what happy birthdays I have. This is a different font, but I'm going to go with it. I could have used Let's Celebrate and just inked this Celebrate. It's very similar to that other one. It has the type font. And we'll just stamp Happy Birthday in the Secret C. There we go. So that came from Simply Said, that happy birthday. We have used a lot of different sets today, so I encourage you to use greetings that you have in your stash to go with whatever die cuts you layer. So that's our inside. Now I want to show you this. So I do have a color combo that has crumb cake with it for our outdoorsy theme, but I didn't use that on this one. I just used, here's the color combo. Let's show it. So Old Olive, Mossy Meadow, oops, Pool Party, and Secret Sea. So there's our color combo. And if you're commenting, I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention. So I want to add some dots on here. On this one, I used Secret Sea because most of this was white or Pool Party. So on this one, what do you think? Do you want to try some green? Do you want to just use white or Pool Party? Would you like to color some Pool Party? And I would just use the dark Pool Party. You could color on top of the Very Vanilla or the white. What do you guys think? And while you're voting on that, I'm going to adhere these things down. You notice I let this dry a little bit. When you have the darker inks, sometimes they need a second before you touch them or they smear. Just need a little bit of that glue. So there's our inside. So if you have a mountain stamp, you could do that very, very light. And third generation, it means you ink it, you stamp once on scratch, you stamp twice on scratch, the third time you stamp onto your project. Oops. Okay. Enjoy and celebrate. Okay, I see Pool Party. Any other thoughts? So I'm thinking you could do 2 dots up here and 1 down here, or you could do 3 dots. I like to do 3 dots in a row, either on the on the bottom or on the left top. So you could either do a large and a small and a large, or 3 smalls. That's typically what I like to do. Any other thoughts before we are finished? So I would use dark Pool Party. This is dark Old Olive, or we could leave it white as is. So if you would like to check out this set, whether you want the dies or the bundles of Scenic Adventure, you can find those in my online store at bethroy.stampinup.net. And when you shop with me, it helps support me and my creative journey and what I share with you and the videos that I'm doing. Okay, I see Pool Party. So, all right, Pool Party it is. So I'm going to take that bullet tip end. We have a brush tip end. And I'm just going to color that. And sometimes with Pool Party, you need to do a couple layers, but I'm just going to get it on as thick as I can. I'm just coloring right on top while it's on the sheet. And I think I'm going to do a couple large ones and a small one. So I love to use my blends to alter my embellishments. You just need to be careful. If it's not a smooth embellishment like this, you do need to be gentle with your tip of your marker. It can tear it up. So I'm just dotting it on, trying to make sure I get it all covered. Oops. And then I'm going to let it dry for a second. The middle there didn't want to color well. So that's why sometimes it's good to let it dry and then do a second coat. We're just going to leave it as is. It's a nature scene, so it's okay if it's not perfect. Okay, and then I like to use my take your pick tool to put those on. Okay. So, oops. And I use the putty end. Now, if you use up this twist so that you can pull more putty out or new putty, so if it's getting used up a little bit and it's not as sticky, you can buy replacements for these. Okay, so I'm going to do a large and a small. And a large one down there. There we go. There is our layered card with the Scenic Adventure dies. I hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure you give me a thumbs up, or if you're on Facebook, a love. I would appreciate that very much. So here's the other cards I made. You can use lots of different shapes. Think about what dies you have in your stash and how you would like to layer these. If you have any questions about how I made this, or you need help with something, please feel free to tag me in this video or send me a private message. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.